New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
From the New Thought Media Network, this is the Conscious Reality Show with your host, Sara Stevens Nichols, where conversation plus intention reveals a new reality. Every week, Sara and her guests will discuss what they know and what they don't. Experimenting in front of everyone with what else is possible. I'm Sunny Childs, and here is your host, Sara Stevens Nichols.
Thank you, Sunny, and thank you, and welcome, and hello to everyone. Good morning, or whatever time it is when you're watching this. I am Sara Stevens Nichols. I am so happy to be here. I am so happy to have an opportunity to talk about what's going on for me and what I'm thinking about these days. It's always a great treat to do so. I write a weekly newsletter, which you can join. You can see the QR code right there. You can scan with your phone if you're watching, and or go to my website, sarastevensnichols.com. But in last week's newsletter, I wrote, la 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 la. I don't watch the news, or I can't watch the news, or I can't read the news. And I guess in doing that, I was making gentle fun of and calling attention to the large number of people in my orbit who screen out the news. And I was asking a question of whether we could treat the news as a prayer request, and think of it the way we would if a friend told us about troubles in their lives. And we don't generally try to screen out that, and we have compassion for that. But why do we screen out the news? And then ever since I wrote that column, I've actually been wanting to screen out the news. It just seems it's getting worse and worse. And for the first time I can remember, as you know, I'm this weird person who straddles two worlds of public policy, advocacy, and the world of political reality, and consciousness and new thought ministry. And so I'm always thinking about either applying spiritual tools to public policy or applying political tools to spirituality, or bringing in pray and get out on the streets at the same time, what we call treat and move your feet in my churches. And now, with masked law enforcement killing American citizens on the streets who are exercising their free speech rights, free assembly rights, I'm so heartbroken. And I'm so heartbroken at the direction this country's going. And I had to sit and really remember, when has there been major change? And in this country, one of the most dramatic examples of change that didn't involve a civil war or a revolution was the civil rights era, when Martin Luther King and a lot of other clerics led, using spiritual tools and using nonviolence, a revolution, and ended segregation, ended Jim Crow laws in this country. And it makes me wonder what else is possible in our country and what spiritual tools we can use. And do we actually need, I think a lot of us are just hoping for this charismatic leader, the next Martin Luther King or the next some sort of charismatic change president that's going to emerge and lead us out of this darkness. But what if we can use these spiritual tools on our own in our spiritual communities and affect change there without a charismatic leader having to be the one? I don't want to be trite about it and say we are the ones that we're looking for, but that's basically what I'm saying. Well, and speaking of which, I have a book coming out in March called How to Know What You Know, which is about dialing into your own internal wisdom and contacting your highest intelligence and knowing what it is you're here to do. And one of the things I'm here to do is talk with people who also are in touch with their own and divine intelligence and are consciously working with reality in whatever way and creating a new reality through their art, through their words, through their actions, all of the above. And so that's the reason I have my guest today. Our guest today is cosmic poet Brian Lewis. He is a philosopher. He is the author of the Repairers of Creation Trilogy, which he says is a bridge between the metaphysical and the tangible. And this creation trilogy has 3 parts. The Great Surrender is a spiritual and poetic guide focused on the transformative power of intentional descent into life's darkest experiences, which we're having an unintentional descent into life's darkest experiences at the national level right now. But he's talking about this in his volume for an intentional descent. And then the second volume of the trilogy moves past initial awakening to explore how grief, terror, and loss serve as necessary catalysts for breaking down the ego. Well, we're all getting a lot of grief, terror, and loss if we are reading the news right now, but we may be getting it from other things in our lives. And I love that he has a blend of Buddhist philosophy and quantum physics, because I was trained in the quantum physics of consciousness, and by a Zen Buddhist priest slash New Thought minister slash professor, well, and others. So Brian, my guest, argues that the void is not empty, but is actually composed of interconnected love. And his text uses poetry, their text uses poetry and prose to mentor the reader through the belly of the whale, where suffering is repurposed into wisdom. Isn't that beautiful? So there's more work. They're a cosmic poet and a meditating monk, and they were educated in Spain and Taiwan, as well as UC San Francisco Law School. And let's talk to Brian. Let's bring Brian on. Look, if you want to get Brian Lewis's have access to their Repairers of Creation Trilogy, you can scan it here on this slide. So I'm going to leave that up and put that up once in a while. But let me bring Brian on, and we can both talk to you about any of this. Hi, Brian. I'm glad you're here, and I'm welcome. Welcome to the Conscious Reality Show.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I, like most people, are fascinated with your search, and hope we can all find answers that address these important problems in society.
Well, what do you think, Brian? Are you in the right place? Are you interested in conscious reality now? Do you think that's one name for what you're playing with or writing about or thinking about or have in your life?
That's a complex question. To me, uh, I well, first of all, I've been meditating for more than 50 years, and
Mhm.
that sort of gives me a different perspective of consciousness and reality. Uh, I have written poetry as a way to present different ideas and different thoughts on the subject of conscious reality. And I think that I chose poetry because poetry tends to be a way of expressing ideas that is less threatening to people who are reading it.
Tell me
And
about that, like, because it doesn't force ideas on them, it's just
well, most essays that you read are a form of persuasion. They
Mhm.
want to persuade you about one thing or another,
Yeah,
and they may use all different, different styles and techniques to
yeah,
lead you from where they have point A and point B. I
yeah,
don't try to do that. In fact, I do everything I can to avoid doing that, with the belief that people are able to form their own opinions about ideas that are important to them, and that it's
yeah.
important for people to search out answers on their own that are independent of anything I or somebody else might tell them.
Yeah. Well, I tend to love to force my ideas on people. So that's one of the reasons I got out of public advocacy is that it never seemed to work. It worked better. But even now, I love to talk about what I think. So there you have it. So you're saying that so do you read the news? How do you keep yourself sane and composed in this time, but also know what's going on?
I have a smartphone that is attached to my body. Uh, it is turned on several times a day. My
All right.
screen time,
So you're not the kind of monk that doesn't have a smartphone.
even when I lived at the temple, I had a smartphone, and that's been
Okay.
several years ago now. But
Right.
yeah, so I have plenty of opportunity to be updated on news. I tend to see things and then avoid them after I see them. I don't feel like I need to immerse myself in them.
No, I don't go down internet rabbit holes. I'm very grateful that that isn't something my brain wants to do. It
You
helps a lot. Yeah.
To answer your question, I think it's important to engage with other people
Mhm.
uh, in a personal kind of level.
Yeah.
Uh, we tend to do this on our screens because it's convenient and it's easy. We can do it around the world. Right now, I'm in Chicago and you're in California. Last week, I was in the Middle East. 2 weeks from now, I'll be back in Asia. So, we have this capability, but being able to sit down with people in person and talk with them is uh, so much more opportunity to grow and exchange.
Yeah. Yeah. It so w- when you sit down in person with them, what do you like to talk about? How do you how do you how do you engage with the reality?
That depends on the audience, of course. If it's little kids, and I do have the regular opportunity to interact with little kids, 2 years old and
Oh,
3 years old. So, I'm doing that several times a week.
that's wonderful. I love
Yeah.
little kids.
And so, I read to them, I play with them, I listen to their stories, I watch them, I laugh with them, I walk around with them and realize that what I want is not very important compared to what they're doing. I think that's a really important lesson to keep us humble. Uh,
Yeah.
and little kids are cool because they get upset and cry and whine, and 1 second later they're fine and forgot what was wrong in their world. And if we had that ability, perhaps we would be happier as well.
Yeah. Did I feel like on some part of your of what you have written or is out there, you at one point said, well, your trilogy is called, let's just say this, it's called Repairers of Creation. So what needs repairing? And who is the repairer? I didn't tell you I was going to ask that question because I didn't know I had it until just now. Sorry.
Well, it's a good question. I like both. There's two questions there. I like both.
Answer both. So the first one is,
What needs to be
repaired about creation?
So we are able to communicate, converse, share ideas, share different experiences very easily in today's world, but we also are able to share problems and concerns. And there's a if you look at surveys, I don't like to use this analogy, but if you look at public surveys about what people feel about their life in society today, you find all kinds of responses. And I feel that to some great extent, the types of responses that are solicited are responses that reflect a sense of separation in society, a sense of isolation in society, and a sense of a lack of definition, if you will, about what should be or needs to be done for those first two concerns, as well as other concerns alongside of that. And so how to address questions like that is time consuming. They don't suggest answers that are tried and allow us to say 3 words and move on to the next one. They aren't that.
No soundbite, huh?
No, they're not sound bites, and so
see, that's frustrating to me.
Part of the process, if you will, of the trilogy that I present, and it's not for sale. It's for those who stay on until the end. They'll get where they can get it for free. Part of the process of that trilogy is an examination of different parts of life in a way that is not threatening and that provides a sense of security, if you will, that you're not going to, by looking at these ideas honestly, you're not going to put yourself in a threatening position. So that's what I've tried to bring out in the writings, and I feel that mostly I've been successful in doing that. And then the other part of it that I shared with you just a couple of days ago is that there's this wonderful tool online that's free called Notebook LM that is from Google. And with Notebook LM, you can take the trilogy and you can really make it your own. You can upload it into this AI platform, and it will prepare reports for you. It'll make videos for you. It'll create podcasts for you, all tailored towards your particular interest. And you also have the ability to bring in subject matter from other authors, other poets, other philosophers, and you can blend it in. You can compare everything. And so it gives you, an individual, a really powerful ability to examine ideas that are important to our heart, to our soul.
Why? So, I may just be an old fogey when it comes to AI, but why wouldn't I just want to read your trilogy? Why do I want to upload it and have all sorts of other things happen with it? Is it just because that's the tool that exists now, or is that really the best way to experience it?
Yes and no, no and yes.
Well, let's
you,
go to my other question. Who is the repairer?
each of us are.
So do we,
When we recognize that things need to be done. When
and
we
how do we
stop,
recognize that?
well, first of all, we all recognize them, but it's common to cast blame towards somebody or something to that then allows us, if you will, to not address how to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we tend to do this with big problems and then bring them back into our life as overwhelming problems that we can't solve. And
Right.
in doing this, we become discouraged and disheartened as well. So it's about identifying what I can do. Maybe I can sweep up the floor and get the crumbs off the floor. You know, that's a little repair, but that's a real service under under any condition. Uh,
Yeah.
Cleanliness is important, but it's about looking at questions of what we can do, where we are, and what needs to be done in a way that we can undertake it on our own, or we can easily explain it to somebody else, and we can take it on as a team or a community. And I think that one of the aspects of these communication methods that we have today is that we have this ability to identify possible solutions relatively easily that are small scale in effect, but large scale in terms of manifesting across a bigger chunk of society. And my belief and the belief of most all spiritual teachers I've ever encountered is that we have this capacity for compassion, and that when we engage in acts that allow us to express our life this way, we benefit ourselves as much as for the person that we're helping. And as a society, if that sense of involvement, of participation grows, then more people join, and then more people join, and then more people join.
What's an example of something that you're thinking of?
Um,
Doesn't have to be some earth-shattering
no, I
thing, but
understand.
just, yeah, anything at all that.
Well, education, helping out with kids in schools that don't have gloves in the wintertime,
Mm-hmm.
helping out with kids, maybe volunteering at lunchtime to read to kids who don't have so that would be an example. If you're older and you don't have the ability to get out, one of the cool things that I read about recently was where little kids are brought into senior citizen homes, and they play with
Oh, nice.
adults there for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Another idea, which I think is really interesting, is you have a library facility where you check out a person for 30 minutes or 45 minutes and you talk to them like you and I are doing right now.
What? You check them out? Do you
You're in the
take them out of
library.
the library?
No,
Okay.
you're in the library. They're
I
there.
did not realize you could check out people.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool
That's
idea.
in your library in Illinois?
I've read about it.
You've
It's not,
read about it.
you
Okay.
don't take them out of the library. You sit with them in the library, and you have a conversation about different ideas or different points, or it can be very specific or it can be very general.
Wow, that is super cool. So you can repair creation. I'm posting a comment on this by hanging out with little kids or checking out someone at the library. That could mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
I love it. There we go. Yeah, I do think all those small things make a difference. I really do. And yet I'm not sure that apartheid or segregation would have ended just by those things. I could be wrong. I suppose if someone had been willing, my mother grew up in the segregated South in the United States, and she was a white woman who looked like me, and she loved many, many Black people that were in her life. And one of the ways in which she learned to love was to make sure that she never did anything with them in public that would get them hurt or killed or arrested because they were crossing a line. Um, and it just makes me wonder, well, if people had hung out, there were actually quite a few white teachers who went into Black schools and taught uh, Black kids in the South, but many of them faced such a backlash on that they were expelled from the community. All these little things matter. I hang out with a neighbor's 6-year-old about to turn 7 every week for 2 hours. I love it so much.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
isn't a kid. He isn't a kid that doesn't is cold and hungry. It would be interesting to also hang out with those kids too.
My wife had an opportunity. She taught in an inner city Texas school for several years, where the kids in her class would be speaking 8 or 10 different languages, not even be able to write their name using the English alphabet, not being able to read or write in English or any language as far as that goes. Many of them having grown up in refugee camps in displaced person locations in Africa and the Middle East. Then she went to another school district where she taught gifted children whose families had all the privileges, whose parents generally had master's degrees, if not PhDs, and some of them would have 2 or 3 advanced degrees. The difference between the two groups of children was really reflected primarily by the difference in the parents' understanding of the importance of education. And the kids who were in the group of students who were challenged on so many levels still responded very favorably, and by the end of the school year were able to compete toe to toe with the other kids in the school district. But the kids who were from the privileged background, the way they challenged her teaching skills and her experience just expanded her thinking and her ideas. It was really quite remarkable to see. And I think that both examples that I'm using her for are small little steps, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, day after day repetition, growth of processes that, can provide solution.
Yeah, can it though? I'm finding I don't want to diminish anything you're saying because I think everything that we do is important. We gave what felt like to us a large contribution financially to a local organization here that helps women transitioning who have experienced homelessness get into housing and get their children with them and keep their children safe. And that feels important, but there's a way in which I feel so much outrage that in the richest country in the world, there should even be children without adequate clothing, adequate education, children who are having to live on the street. It seems like a Band-Aid compared with what the government can do and what the government does do in some other wealthy nations. And so I noticed you have a legal background, but you do not seem as attached to the use of legislation and government and to create the world that you want to live in. Have you just given up on all that, or?
Um, I feel that that is a question that has to be applied to specific circumstances and conditions. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it requires a degree of involvement, personal or otherwise, in order to be able to respond to that. And mostly because of the way I've been living my life the last several years, where I'm traveling and not settled down in one location with any real sense of
Mm-hmm.
in long-term involvement. It's
Right.
sort of given me a freedom, if you will, to look at those kinds of questions differently. I think that they're incredibly important. I think that they require a total, complete change of mindset, and that this requires a new ability, a new willingness, a new capacity to cooperate together. I like to say that compassion is the most powerful energy there is. If we look at it from that point of view and we apply it and we bring it into our life on all the different levels that we can do a
Okay.
lot of really good things.
All right. Well, let me interrupt you because we need to go to acknowledge our sponsor. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you to consider while we're on our short break, consider leading me and us through a meditation for the next few minutes that can access some part of what you're talking about, if you're willing. Um, and or some other spiritual practice, but it seems that meditation is the main one that you use, so that's why I'm mentioning that. All right, let's acknowledge our sponsor.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.
All right, we're back with Brian Lewis, cosmic poet and raconteur, about what we can do to change reality. It sounds like he mostly meditates, so I've asked him to consider whether he wants to lead us in a meditation. Is there something we can do together in this space?
You're asking me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you for asking. Do you want to start?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So this is going to be a few minutes of guided meditation. You should sit in a posture that is comfortable, your back straight, your shoulders comfortably back, and your head as if a thread was holding your head from your spine straight up in a relaxed, comfortable position of awareness. Be aware of how you feel with your clothes on your body, how your glasses may be feeling on your nose, how you feel your hands touching the fabric of your clothing. And slowly close your eyes and think about how you're breathing softly. Breathe in slowly, carefully, softly. Hold it for a count of 2 and release it back out slowly, comfortably, softly. Do this again. feeling your breath, feel your nasal passages flow down into your lungs, bringing you the breath of life. Hold it briefly and exhale slowly, softly. Focus your attention on how compassion shapes your life, how you feel about compassion as a force of life, what it means to you for now and in the future, for your work, for your interacting with other people. Bring your focus back to your breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. When I'm doing this on my own, I try to set my breathing at about 3 inhalations a minute, 3 exhalations a minute. Not forcing the breath, but trying to take a deep breath over time, recognizing that each breath is different. Each breath brings its own reward, its own benefit. This is part of our life. This is part of what you can bring with a focus to the problems that you encounter in your day-to-day activities. It's a kind of meditation that you can take 5 minutes and do at your desk. Turn off your phones, turn over your phones, get up and move around and do this and let go of the frustration that you were experiencing a few minutes ago, and then get on with what you're working on. To become a repairer is to give up the idea of blaming. To become a repairer is to take up the idea that you can do something to make a difference, no matter how small it is. And in many ways, the best kind of repair is the one that nobody notices, but you've done because it needed to be done. So, thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't normally lead meditation. I don't normally teach these kinds of subjects. So it's a challenge for me at some level to be here with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, stretching beyond your normal comfort zone on this. I do normally lead meditation. So it was a treat for me to, to have someone else lead it. And I know that anyone who meditates regularly can lead a meditation, right? Because if we do it, we know how to tell someone else about it. That is just a fact. Yeah. So
I'd like
that
to
was very peaceful. I loved it.
Thank you. I'd like to share something that sort of is a vision of what I am trying to do.
Okay.
For the consideration of the audience and perhaps involvement. But what I see is that Repairers of Creation envisions a world where humanity rises to its next evolutionary stage by mastering the capacity that can hold our act together in the daily practice of repair, of compassion. We believe that this is not just a venture, but it's a cosmic force, and that now is the time to touch the cosmos and become in tune with what is going on, so that we can have some opportunity for our children and our grandchildren and perhaps subsequent generations to enjoy the life that that we've certainly been able to enjoy. I see this as a nurturing of civilization, where repair is the deepest technology of compassion, is the most powerful energy. Culture is a living organism, and humanity becomes together the repairers of creation. That's a kind of a cliche statement, but it's something that can be copied and written out and said carefully. I've always been a person who didn't like to blame and didn't like to point my finger at other people, but rather chose to find ways to offer solutions, if nothing else, that would provide some solace, if with the belief that over time most everything can improve.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I hear that your pet agrees, is enthusiastically endorsing what you just said.
Somebody walked by outside and he had to assert his domination to territoriality.
Or that, yes, absolutely.
So it's getting down. So anybody in the audience who would like a copy of the trilogy for free could send me an email, and
or they can scan it right there if you want.
If that's, I don't think that scan takes them to someplace. Oh, yeah, no, that scan takes them to a LinkedIn posting, which doesn't provide me with their email. What I need is for them to
you need their email.
Give me their email address so I can email the trilogy back to them.
Okay.
So
if, you can email me.
Yeah.
Everyone can email me at Sara Stevens Nichols @gmail.com, and I will get it to him.
Yeah.
If you would like your own copy of the trilogy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian. It's been a pleasure having you here today. And if you will stick around, I'm going to close out the show, and then we're going to stay live and talk about how it went. And that will be weird and always is fun. So thank you, cosmic poet Brian Lewis. And
thank you, Sara.
It's been great. So let me take your you off and your name off, and let's see. So we've been talking with cosmic poet Brian Lewis. This is one way to contact him, but an even better way would be for you to send your email to me, and which I believe is also in the YouTube notes, so you can do that. And I am going to close my show today in memory of my friend Don Knutson, who died yesterday at the age of 71. He was my neighbor for 27 years, and he was the president of the local atheist club. He was very involved in about every action for peace and justice you can imagine in the entire world. And he had a huge heart, and I loved him very much, and I'm going to miss him. Thank you, Don Knutson, for everything that you provided to Southside Park Co-housing, to Sacramento, and to the world. You will be missed. And I think you know that you can subscribe to my Substack, sarastevensnichols.substack. If you want to stay in touch with me and find out what I think about things, I write 5 thoughts every single week, and sometimes they're even really interesting to me to come through me. You can scan my QR code there. You can keep in touch with this show at YouTube Conscious Reality Show. You can subscribe. Please do subscribe. It helps us. And then, yeah, let's go back. I do have this book, How to Know What You Know, a handbook for making up your mind, coming out in March. And I think my publisher would like you to subscribe to my newsletter. I know my publisher would. And I'm learning how to do that. Join us live for all the other shows too. And thank you for coming. And let's let it.
Thanks to our guest, to host Sara Stevens Nichols, and to the New Thought Media Network. I'm Sunny Childs, producer of the Conscious Reality Show. Join us live next Wednesday at 9 a.m. or stream the show at your convenience. Subscribe to Conscious Reality Show YouTube channel so you never miss a show. If you'd like to learn more about us, check out www.sarastevensnichols.com.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's bring Brian back up to talk. What's
Hi,
the
Sara.
most normal? Hi. So that's the show. That's over now. Yeah, I think it's interesting having people on the show who aren't used to being on shows. And I guess that's what you're saying. You're not used to talking about this stuff.
Well, you asked about teaching, leading a meditation group.
Leading a
And
meditation.
I
That was
never
definitely
do
new.
that.
Did you enjoy it?
That's not a word I would use.
It was a little stressful to do it on the spot.
No, it's okay.
I liked it a lot. It was a nice
you're
break.
sweet. I'll try to improve if you ask me to do it again in the future.
I thought it was great. I
No,
mean,
thank you.
especially on the spot. I lead meditations quite frequently in classes that I teach, and then in the Center for Spiritual Awareness in West Sacramento, where I'm a staff minister, about once every 2 months they have me lead the meditation before the service. But also what happens is once in a while there's some confusion and the person who's supposed to lead hasn't shown up. And I'm one of the main people who will lead when no one has shown up. And it's because I don't mind doing things on the spot, and I don't need any preparation. And I always forget that most people do. So sorry about that. But it's also part of this show is supposed to be one of the reasons it's called the Conscious Reality Show is because there's all these things called reality shows out there. And reality shows are shows where it's supposed to be just on the spot. It's not scripted. It's whatever's happening. I don't know if that's really true. I don't really watch reality TV, but I like for it to be spontaneous. So sometimes I just throw something in there.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I'm not unhappy. No, it's fine. If I hadn't wanted to do it, I would have said no, thank you.
I see that about you. I can tell that you would.
Yeah.
What else do you wish had gone differently or went well?
I think for what you want to accomplish, it was a good conversation. Whether it could be extended into other areas as well, probably. Whether that would be beneficial for your show is a question I have no idea about.
Yeah.
If you felt it was and you wanted to go down an alternative path or part of the path and at another time in the future, I'd be happy to speak with you about that.
Thank you.
I'm having real, how should I say, I don't want to say motivation issues, but sort of motivation issues at this point in my life. I've done a lot of writing. I've done a lot of thinking. I've done a lot of things, and at some very good level, I feel satisfied with what I've accomplished. I feel that there's more that can be done, and hopefully will be done, and should be done. And I'm questioning, whether that's something that I should try to be active in, or is it something that I step aside, and if it's God's will, it'll happen. If it's not, it won't.
Yeah, yeah. You got to
Uh,
listen to your own self and see what's
yeah.
yours to do and not.
So I fortunately have time to do whatever I want. I don't have any pressure about needing to make money or do anything else. I feel very grateful for where I am in life with my wife and family, and everything in general. The questions that you posted that we really didn't spend a lot of time about, in terms of the horror of what's happening in the streets of the United States, it's really terrifying at some real levels. And I don't have any wish to have my children remain in the United States. If I could convince them to leave and join us in Singapore or someplace else, I feel Mr. Trump famously said, if you elect me at the last election, there won't be another one. So, can he make that happen?
Well, he's certainly on a path to trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the way in which they're intimidating people from protesting, it's scary, and they're going to be worst cases, he would forgive them. He would pardon.
Yeah.
He could, because this is a federal thing, so he could pardon.
Well, that's why a number of states are actually passing laws in order to have state versions of censorship for federal crimes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Creating state crimes that are also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is all legislature. It's all, be fought through the courts, up and down, right and left. And
sure.
Around and around. And that's, lots of lawyers will make a living out of it, and lots of legislatures will point the finger at other people. But what needs to be done is we need to have answers that people aren't arguing about. And so I'll just share a couple of things that are sort of additional background about what I am doing. Okay. One of them is I feel there has to be some place where everybody can agree. And so I have one poem, which I haven't shared with you, which I'll share with you. I have one poem that's been translated into 25 languages, and everybody agrees with it.
That's beautiful.
And so that's my starting point of, creating a point of agreement. Then the next phase of my dream, my vision, is I've taken 12 of my poems and I've had them translated into 8 different languages at the moment. And my goal is to have 15 to 20 different languages. And then to have this serve as a libretto, a storyline for a folk opera, where the themes are the same, the ideas are common, the words are culturally specific, and then have it put to music that would be culturally appropriate for the translation.
The culture or the,
yeah, and it could be multiple styles of music. It doesn't have to be limited to one style of music in a culture. And then imagine playing this chorus of music that expresses ideas of commonality, of communion, of compassion, of respect, of human dignity, of effort of peaceful coexistence, playing musically around the world simultaneously.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love that.
So that, along with the 3-volume trilogy, and then I've got another couple of volumes of essays that I am thinking of putting out as well.
Beautiful.
And anyway, that's where where I'm at. I would like to see the music done. I think that would be totally awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Poetry set to music is a song.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be the exact
no, I know
words,
you're
but
not
it's the,
talking
it's
about.
the theme, it's the
Yeah,
meaning.
the theme, the meaning.
And,
I get that.
My experience in traveling is that we all are the same. We all want the same thing for our families, for our children.
Yeah.
We want them to have a better life. We want them to have comfort and respect, and we want them to have a home, a house over their roof over their head, and opportunity. And I haven't met anybody in the world who doesn't want that.
No. My
for their children.
brother's family just got, after a long time, it might have been a 10-year process, his wife and my brother's kids got Italian citizenship because she's a grandchild of Italian
Oh,
citizens.
nice.
And my brother's now can speak Italian. He's the only one in that group because he had to pass various tests, but now he has to get into the process. But they're very excited about the possibility of living in another country right now. Even another country that has a fascist government, or at least a right-wing one. There's a little difference between a right-wing government and a fascist government, right? It seems like the rule of law, to the extent that it's ever respected in Italy, is still being respected.
Singapore is a very interesting model for governance. If you haven't studied the history of Singapore, it's relatively short. It's only
all I
60
remember
years.
is caning.
Caning is still a punishment. Hanging is also a punishment. They do hang people. They do cane people. They have virtually no corruption. They have a healthcare system that works for the people. They have an educational system that works for the people. They have public housing that works for the people. It's really an amazing country in many ways. That it has a small population makes it easier at some levels to consider the kinds of rules that they've been able to bring into effect. But it shouldn't free us from trying to accomplish something of similar goodness.
Oh, there's no reason we couldn't. I mean, one of the only things, well, I have gotten in trouble in the past I actually, even though I very much dislike almost every policy decision Donald Trump has ever made, I actually admire the degree to which he is not constrained by apparent barriers. I don't, I do think that if a president, I like, I can get outraged about the flouting of the rule of law, but I'm pretty sure that if Bernie Sanders got elected president and took the defense budget and created Medicare for all and affordable housing for all without the authority of the Congress, I'd probably be fine with it. So, so I'm not so sure I'm really that interested in the rule of law. I think what I'm interested in is results, and Donald Trump is a way shower in terms of the things that we think are constraints about how something can get done are false. Actually, there's a lot that can be done, and it can be done quickly. Not always good things, sometimes terrible and horrible things. But hopefully the country can wake up from seeing this and see that, because there's so many people in this country that don't vote, that don't think their vote matters, that think that when they do vote, they're voting for their favorite character on TV instead of somebody who affects their lives, right? So, yeah. All right. I am going to end the live stream, and thank you for being here, and you could stay on for another second.
Thank you, Sarah. Very nice to meet you.